Builders need to basically... There is so much opportunities for renovation and construction in the market.
How do you deal with that?
Doesn't matter the size of the project, you design for humans. And I like all this.
This is Cesar from Solis Estudio.
The link between the client's desire and then the construction execution, marrying those two together.
I say that's my secret.
Having worked under a builder umbrella, Solis Estudio have a unique approach to design.
Designers are no more important than builders, or builders more important than designers.
They are known to create individuality, story, and personality.
It gets to being quoted and then it doesn't go ahead.
They haven't been involved in the process.
Today on the Builders and Marketing podcast, JP and Cesar sits down to discuss what does the ideal relationship look like between architect and builder? When is the right time for a builder to get involved in a project? And how to build relationships with architects and designers. And now for the podcast with Cesar.
A big reason why we wanted to have you on here was one, to find out more about how you go about doing what you do, but you are also very big on the designer-builder relationship. And because of your background, that's why we wanted to get you on and talk about that and how you go about creating a good relationship between, well, essentially it's you, it's the client and the builder, and the trades.
Yes.
Understanding it from that umbrella perspective. Do you find that when you're talking to a client, you will purposefully be more open? Does that allow them often to then open up more when it comes to just dropping the veils of trying to be someone else and helping you understand them more?
Well, I think so. One of my keys is that I need to understand their vision.
Okay.
That means if the client doesn't open with me, I will say that I cannot design for them. Because you need to understand what they approach you, what they want to achieve. Okay. That means that usually the biggest mistake that people do is, show me photos, send me Pinterest, and show me everything. And I don't. I actually fight with the client to don't show me anything that has been not contaminated, but it will contaminate my vision or my performance. Yeah. Because you just get, I saw that, and then your brain just literally is stuck there. That means you need to let your client to have a good connection with you, open as much, and you need to understand how they live. Because at the end of the day, I design based in personalities, based in visions, and not design based in that book or that photograph. And I think so that has been the success with my clients, because they can see that his vision is reflecting in the design. That means I just have to capture what is in their brain and put it in paper. And then after sketched by hand, I have to put it in 3D for them to see their vision.
How do you extract that from them? Because that's something that we've always found fascinating with you, how you go about doing that, because it is quite different. And you, like you said, you don't want to see their Pinterest board. You don't want to see, but that means, like, sometimes I find it hard to express. How do you go about getting enough of, I know you've even articulated yourself in terms of the story, pulling the story or their own narrative out of their head. How do you do that?
Well, it's just a simple conversation. It's when you have a guest to your house. You give an introduction, and then you slowly make them comfortable to be around the house, to feel like they're part of the family. That means when you sit with a client, you're going to be with them for at least 1 year, since design to the end of the construction. That means you need to connect. Like, if I don't connect with the client, I definitely cannot design for them, because I know I cannot read them. But when you start to build that trust, and it's just a conversation. I don't know why, but for me, it's just like I sit with them. I'm trying to understand, because everybody approach you in different. Some people are very aggressive and they say, I want this. And other people don't know what they want. And other people are begging, maybe no.
Yeah, how do you deal with that? Because that's a big thing that often comes up, like hearing from builders, the frustration of, someone can't get their selections in on time because they can't decide what they want, or variations come because they don't really know what they want.
Well, I would say that's my secret.
But I like that.
I think so. You need to, when I was studying architecture in America, I got part of the structure you have to study psychology. And then something that I always have been emphasis is to understand humans behave. I read a lot about history. I read about how the society start to developing. And I think so when you put that into your client and you bring all your knowledge, you can see how they are going to start to behave. It's like the parents know how the kids are going to behave. You know which kids is naughty, which one is not naughty. You already put some expectations of their behavior. That means you're there to help them. Doesn't matter if they come too aggressive, you just help them to, okay, let's go to work together. And they happy of that. If they come with no idea, the approach conversation is different, but doesn't matter the approach is client, you need to work with them. Why? Because they come to you to resolve a problem, and your problem is design something that you're going to build. That means you just have, I suppose, experience working in different cultures. Everybody have a different personality. That means you start to read your clients, because that's what is important. It's like the doctor. You go to a doctor and you tell him, Google say that, I possibly have that, or I feel sick. The doctor come and examine your body, and then they give you the results. Exactly like me. I have to go and review your brief. I need to review what is your vision. That means a doctor reviews your body, I will review your vision. Doesn't matter your approach. And that's basically the success to get the right result.
When it comes to helping your clients that you're designing for, choose a builder. What do you look for?
There is plenty builders. And at the end of the day, behind any profession, there is a personality. You need to be sure that your client feel comfortable with the builder, because they are going to build a marriage. They are going to build a relationship for X amounts of months or years. That means you need to understand that they are going to work together, that they understand when they speak, and that actually one key that is really important is that the builder really want that project. Because you have builders that want projects just because they need work, but then you actually have builders who want the project because they identify that as a challenge. They actually want to build that. They actually have that energy, and that, I don't know how to explain, but they really want the project. They actually take the time to study, to sit with me, to go through the whole plans, the whole interiors, how we're going to work together, how we're going to resolve that. It's not a builder who want to, oh yes, it's another job, I do it this way. I know that already is going to be not a success construction, because the client basically invests a lot of money. Doesn't matter the budget, is a lot of money for them to do a renovation or construction. That means they want to create the best thing. And the designer usually is the middle point, because we have to communicate what the client wants and what the builder is going to do, and put everything together. That means we're in the middle.
That probably leads to another point that I have here, which is, and these are your words, the importance of the link between the client's desire and then the construction execution. And like you said, marrying those two together.
Correct.
Can you break that down a bit further, getting those two parts to work together?
It doesn't matter if you get contact by the builder or you get contact by the client. At the end of the day, the designer have the task to design and put together everything. That means we need to be sure that we understand what the client wants, but also we need to communicate that to the builder, because most of the builders have their own system how they're going to do the detail. Doesn't mean that's the detail that the client wants. That means how you bring that together. And I think so that's when we came to the key is the communication. Transfer that information between both parties, but also bring it together. Because, for example, if you get sometimes the the builder approached me and he said, Cesar, can you help me to win these jobs? That means I actually go understand what the client wants, and then the client is happy because now they select first the builder, and now they have the designer who is going to work good with the builder. And in the other case, it's different. That the client comes first to me, and I say, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. What will be the perfect builder? Who is the builder who is going to select? Understand that. And that's when the communication, you see it. You have to be part of the whole process. You need to understand which builder they're selecting, because you can understand that when they comes to start to pricing, when they start to see, you can see how much they put in consideration or how much they just taking as a, oh, yes, this is, and that's when it start to bear a little bit of conflict, because what they designing, what they building is just not exactly.
Not the same thing.
They are not in the same page. They are way too out of budget and all these issues.
So in order to curve that,
Yes.
to get the builder and the client more on the same page and you on the same page, when is a good time to bring, let's say a client does come to you first, when is the right time?
Well,
to bring a builder on?
The perfect time is show the builder the design before the client.
Okay.
That's the perfect time. Why?
I like that. I think a lot of our builders are going to like that one.
Because I think so. If you left your clients aren't usually, they put emotion. They put all that dream. That means most of the time they're out of control. Because if you go by Pinterest, they show things that actually never been built. They just artificial intelligence or a beautiful render that no one has been resolved how to build it, but it looks good.
Yeah.
That means my strategic always is to show the builder what I'm going to present to the client. Why? Because I need to respect his knowledge in construction. And he's going to tell me how I can approach, how I can reach that budget. He will give me technical solutions, but at the same time, I just have to respect the aesthetic. That means, remember that in design, you have aesthetic, functional, and structure. They are the three main pillars. Okay. And a structure is, and function and aesthetic, it's not just a responsible the designer, the builder is too. That means he's going to tell me, hey, Cesar, we're going to change this. We're going to do it this way because that will be more cost effective, or this is a better solution. That means it's just come together. Some designers get offended when the builder tell them, oh, this doesn't. And most of the time they design with, they don't know what they know what they design, but they don't know how to build it.
Yeah.
Or they have the knowledge a little bit, but actually doesn't work in reality. Because something that we have been learning is, even with the maximum detail that you can put, sometimes when you go to construction, it doesn't work. And you have to be really adapted, and you have to change the design in less of 24 hours without compromise the aesthetic, without get upset the client. That means it just happened because you building something that is in constant movement. That means sometimes a beam is just 40 mil bigger or things like that because it works better on site, and we miss it in the detail, or the builder didn't notice. That means it's not a 5. We just go to site and we just see how we're going to resolve it to don't compromise. And sometimes mistakes make better results. But back to your question, yes, the best is show him before show the client.
Okay. That's brilliant. That is really good.
They really have a hard responsibility for many months because they have to coordinate. They only have plans most of the case. Not with us, but most of the case, they only have plans. They have to coordinate trades. They have to coordinate suppliers. On top of that, the clients on top of them. That means it's a very stressful. Even that is enjoy, you have that stress. And most of the builders have more than 1, 2, or 3 in the go. That means what you have to do is help them, because you need to help them to achieve what they're doing. And that's what I'm very strong in always trying to get the most technology in communication, in software to helping on site. Because, for example, we have a software that communicates to all the traders what they're building. Sometimes they come to site, like for example, at Hyla, or since the project manager maybe is not there, the builder is not there, and there is a little bit instructions, but they don't know the vision. How your trade doesn't know the vision, how they don't see the 3D look, the 3D renders, the detail. I mean, that's why you have to be big and trying to make the construction more efficient and not so painful and not so many variations or change, so the client come and say, oh, that's not what I want. That means, or even we as a designers, we go and say, oh my God, that's terrible finish, you know? And I think so I trying to do inspections before big things items go. Why? And bring the client. That means they reconfirm that everything is gonna go as per expectations. That's really, really important. I mean, you always have to, you're a team and you need to work with your builder. If you don't work with the builder and you're ignoring, I mean, sometimes I know builders that say, oh, this designer or this architect or this building designer didn't come back to us. We have to make decisions. So there's not enough detail in the plans. How we're gonna resolve that? You know, that's typical. And I think so it's not fair for them. And that's for that reason, when you bring the builder from the beginning and show him before what you're going to show the client, they feel like you're already there working with them. We can even design together. Like my knowledge have been, and my team knowledge come back from builders. Because at the end of the day, we're creative. We can create anything. We can design anything. But doesn't mean that you're gonna do it if you don't have the construction knowledge. My best in design, the best friend is your builder, and that's what you need to understand.
Yeah, again, your approach and mindset is quite different from what we often hear about designers and builders. I'm still keen to do an event where we can put the two parties in a room and really get them on the same page. But with your history and background, a lot of experience working under the same roof as a builder, what were some of the big lessons you took away from that?
Wow. I think so. We cannot coexist without one or another. Definitely. I think so. One of the big lessons is like even that we consider that we detailing everything and we designing everything, the builder is essential. It is basically essential. I think so. Communication and working is good, because even if you invite a builder from the beginning, sometimes they're very resistant because they want to do it in their way. That means builders also need to understand that sometimes there is a different way that we want to do things, a different way that we're going to resolve a construction detail. That means I think so it's both parties. I think so both parties need to work it out together. I think so it's just one of the biggest lesson, and maybe is that you grow with the builder. You actually get knowledge of the builder, but actually the builder get knowledge of you, because they actually like the new design, they like the new things, and you can see how they come into the table and they actually present new solutions. And that's when you have to actually listen.
That goes back to what you were saying earlier in terms of choosing a builder that wants to build
correct
for the right reasons.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I think so, for example, some locations are more complicated to another. Some renovations are really difficult than others because there are many annoying things. Some builders just want to sit to one area. They don't want to go outside that area. That means you really have to get the right builder who want to deal with that project and work together. Yes. But I think so in general, I think so the biggest learning is that everything can be designed, but nothing can be built without the builder. And that's what so many people do not understand, and I think so it's a 50-50. Builder needs designers as designers need builders, at least if you are a building and a designer at the same time, but it's still like that. It's just complicated. I think so it's just a 50-50 relationship. No one sees designers are no more important than builders or builders more important than designers. It's just 50-50. And that's what I learned working so many years under a builder umbrella. That is equally important. And then you have, under the builders, you have the trades that you need to actually, I trying to go on top with trades, trying to sometimes to express what I want to achieve, how I want to do it. The same with InDesign, the another underneath the design is all the interior design that come part of the design. That means you have your builder and your design, and underneath that there is a lot of disciplines and professionals that is part of that concession. And everybody has to be in the same page.
Okay.
You know how sometimes designers don't even know which trades the builder are using. They just design, put in paper, and that's it. You need to build relationships with everybody.
Because the builders and the trades are the one who are going to execute.
Correct. Yeah. Like the builder has to build a relationship with the interior designer too. Because the interior designers is one of the major parts, because sometimes interior designers select, but they want a specific detail, they want a specific look, they want a specific, there's so many specifications. Sometimes they select things that doesn't work. That means the builder has to tell them, hey, you have to work it like that. And that was some of my learnings with my interior design team. A lot of things at the beginning, we were selecting things that actually, this doesn't work. Because again, we need the knowledge of construction to make it work, because not everything that is there is going to work. Different selections, different points, connections is so much. The detail in construction and design can go further and further and further. There is a moment that you have to just stop.
Previously, working alongside the builder and now running your own studio in terms of design, it blows my mind, the conversation we're having off the camera, before this, in terms of who all is reaching out to you, who's contacting you for these amazing designs. And I mean, you're very open to doing some incredible, really high-end luxury work, as well as helping people that just are looking for a great designer, and that whole spectrum. How do you think, or how did it happen that the news got out about Cesar? And how do all these people from all over the world know about you and requesting you?
Well, I think so. First, I have to give you credit to the construction team, because I couldn't put anything in paper, but the construction team was who actually built everything. And that's when people start to notice you as a point of difference as a designer. I think so. My reputation started to grow because most of the clients that come to me and sit with me, they know that I'm just going to design based in personalities. I create recipes, put it like that. I don't follow. I don't like to copy. All my employees knows that they're not allowed to check, to copy. I don't follow anything, because every individual is unique. That means your brief is going to be different to even your wife. And how you're going to bring that together. That means, and I think so, well, I have been working international in different countries. That means I always keep my network overseas and trying to keep my projects or my concepts overseas. Because I think so, if I just focus locally, my brain will go crazy. Because you need
it to be stretched.
You need to go. I just designed one hotel in Europe, and now I'm designing in Latin America. I like the diversity of the projects, because I don't want to. I know for some people it's a good business, like design, copy, same elements, different floor plans, but copy. I like to just create something new, create new recipes. And I think so the builders who have been approaching me is because they want to win that client. They really want to cross the line with the client. And I think so something that is well reflective for builders is that the builder have a good relationship with the designer. Clients are very smart. They know when you are just a referral or when you're actually going to work with your builder. Because the builders sometimes just come and saying, oh, you can contact these designers. And the client go and contact those designers. And sometimes those designers doesn't want to work with with that builder. They actually send the design to another builder.
I've heard of that, yeah.
That's pretty bad. I think so when a builder contact me to cross the lines on projects, that means first we have a chat together, we talk together, we just trying to see what we want to approach, how we're gonna help the client. It's not about winning the project or how many numbers you're doing or things like that. It's how you're gonna help the client to achieve that and see if it's realistic or not. And that's basically how I suppose my reputation and people have been approaching me to do different jobs. Not just builders have been approaching me, clients.
Yeah.
Yes, but at the end of the day, I love design. I know run by some design, some architect things they untouchable.
Yeah.
I just love design, and that's when I have designed projects over $25 million. And I design a simple kitchen
I remember being in your studio
Nothing.
once, and on one screen you're looking with something with one of your team members, and I was just like, holy moly! I think it was the one that looked like you were designing it to look like the back of a boat.
Oh yes,
So that's on one screen, and then on
yes.
the other screen you had this one which I was like, how much do you think that reno is going to be? And you're like, not more than $200,000.
Correct.
Probably, and you're looking at a difference of like 20 mil.
Yes.
In the same room. That was really cool to see.
But it's because when you like your profession, it's not about how big is the challenge. It's just actually do the challenge,
They're
And
both
actually,
challenges. Yeah.
Yes, and I think so. Every single project is challenge, and I think so. It's the smallest challenge or the biggest challenge are the most difficult, because when they come and say, "Hey, I have this amount of $1 million, and I want design this," you basically have all the space.
There's no parameters. There's no lane.
No, and most of the designers get lost.
Yeah.
Because you need to, doesn't matter the scale of the size of the project, you design for humans. They need to feel like still you have the human scale. And then when you have a project that you basically only have 3 by 3 meters, how you make that really ergonomic, that feels big. And I like all this. I just don't say no to any project when I feel the right connection with my clients. Yes, I mean, it's just different. It's how my team actually is really important. My team understand my direction, and we all have the same direction. We understand where we're going, and my team actually love doing all these range of projects.
Yeah, right.
I think so. Members of my team have left the company because they only want to be in the big. They don't want to be in the small. That means it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
It's like the builder who they only want to build these amounts of money.
Yeah.
They just want to touch projects over 3, over 4. That's good for them.
Yeah.
But there are builders that say, no, I will do this or I will do that. I know it's more complicated, and I know it's more logistic behind, but you can see when who is passionate for their own career or who is passionate just for another directions. That could be ego, could be fame, could be anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And coming back to how you go about doing things, and you don't follow trends. Out of curiosity, what are some of those trends that you're currently seeing out there in the marketplace?
Look, I'm gonna say something. I think so. Trends is normal. Everybody follow trends. Even the people that say they don't follow trends, they do. Some people do it before, some people do it after. The thing that I say that I don't follow trends is because if you see my website, every single house is different. It's like a a fruit salad. All the fruits they are there. Why? Because my product is the result of an interview with someone, personal brief. That means I can never follow trends. I can produce something that people say, oh, I like this style, I like this looks, but at the end of the day, you cannot put it in a box. Even some people come with any budget and say, I want a specific that, I want to use that materials and all these things. You can see your point of different. You can see that the detail has been working different, the proportion, and pretty much like that. Like Gold Coast have a big trend back in the days about Hamptons, and now it's Mediterranean, Palm Springs. I remember when I came here in 2016 to do my first project, I say Hamptons. Hamptons is a lifestyle. It's not actually, I don't see that the architecture in Hamptons is just massive. And I start to call it coastal because that's the truth. It's coastal. It's the Queenslander interpretation. That's what people was so hard into have a coastal Hamptons because it's the remember of the Queenslander house, just a modernized version.
Right.
But they still have that because all the Queenslander like the Queenslander houses. That means Hamptons was really popular for that and coastal. And you see houses of 200 meters or 1,000 meters.
Yeah.
You know? Then we did a coastal and then I designed, I think so I designed one of the first in villa, display villa, Palm Springs inspired. And then when boom, Palm Springs go inspired, everybody was doing Palm Springs and then the Mediterranean, you know? And I think so trends are not bad. I mean, it's a good result for suppliers because they know everybody want those and things like that. Yeah. But for example, if someone come to me and say to me, now I want a Hampton, so I want a Mediterranean, or they pick any of those trends, even that they pick that, I have to create my own recipe. And that's the point of different. And that's when the builders say, the builders say, oh, that's different. It's not exactly the same. And the client is happy.
Yeah.
You know? Yes, it is. Yeah. I think so that's pretty much, for me, I will say I never follow trends. It's not bad. I follow fashion trends. But when it comes to construction, it's hard. Yeah. It is really hard. For example, your wife can say, oh, I like Mediterranean, I like arcs, I like this stone and all these things. Now, I don't go and see what people do. I see where the arc work. Maybe the arcs is just in the fresco, in the terrace. It doesn't have to be everything with arcs. Because that's the problem. When people follow trends, they just get the elements and put it there.
Like they just collage out of a book and just glue it all on one page.
But they actually sometimes don't work. They actually don't have... As a design, you need to have a reason why you're putting that things there. Because when people come, I just did a display, and when they come and understand why I put the tunnel in an arc of 5 meters, they understand, oh, because you have that poet, or you have that relation between your ideas, with your intention, and that's when you can see that it's truly a design.
On that project, what was the idea behind that?
Well, the inspired was Mediterranean, and the thing is, because we was in the main road, I say, well, my interpretation was a grotto. Do you know when you go to Italy and you go from the busy area and then you cross the grotto under the cave and then you see you come
out into something else.
Something magical. That means I did that 5 meters tunnel and I put mosaic because the mosaic reflect lighting. You know, like a sparkles with the blue of the grotto. And then when you close the door, you forget you're in main road. You came to a beautiful courtyard, your own beautiful paradise. And that was my interpretation, to create the 5 meters long with marble and all these specs. And when clients go there, they understand that. They can see my intention as a design. I didn't put the arc just to make an arc as an entrance with no intention. There was a reason, and there was a reason behind the materials that we select.
Yeah, that's something I do always find fascinating. Talking to you or talking to designers when it comes to what goes into it, that concept or that design. There's always more than what I thought. Coming back to just your different approach when it comes to the relationships that you have with all parties involved on a project. Mm-hmm. One thing you've mentioned to me in the past is, I've got it here, the tools. You have specific tools that you have in place when it comes to allowing the client, the designer, the builder and trades to equally understand the project. Can you help myself and the audience understand a bit more about that so they can learn from that and hopefully look for those types of tools or put some of those tools and approaches into place?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think so. There is different tools in the market. You have administration tools that organize everything for you, your builder, your trades. Everybody have access. That's not a secret. Some companies, some builders do. I think so. They moving into the new technology. Then interior designers have been now creating different softwares that communicate and administrate all the information on site. And then you have the traditional tools that is the software. And then on top of that, now the new technology allow you to have visions of how the product is going to look on site, even before it's built. That means what we do is we're trying to combine all these tools because, again, you can have all these tools, but you don't know how to use it. Or you don't have to approach. That means even that you have your tools, you need to create your own recipe, how you're going to use them to communicate the client everything. And not just the client, the builder again, and the trades, and the suppliers. I mean, everybody's in the same pot, and you need to work with all of them. You need to have a network with suppliers because they help you. They actually help you to resolve sometimes issues of problems. You have the trades that you need to understand and help them. I mean, sometimes of the trades, I have some trades that they like the new solutions from the design department.
Yeah, that's something I like. And you sort of touched on it earlier as well. Just respecting everyone's knowledge. And I think that really leaves the ego at the door when it comes to, you've got your knowledge, the builder's going to have his knowledge. You talk about that 50-50 relationship. The trade's also going to have their knowledge. And it's about leaning on them and go, well, here we've got a problem. And we're big on, the problem equals an opportunity. And I think you could say it's almost egotistical to think that you have all the solutions, but rather lean on those others that have the knowledge and say, well, what solution do you guys see to this?
Yes, I think so. If you don't have a good relationship with your trades, you basically screw.
I think you're right there.
Because, and not just the builder, but the designer too.
Yeah.
Because if at the end of the day, the trades and the suppliers and the builder are creating your baby, your design, you need to be on top of that. You need to understand that they're actually building what you want because you basically communicating what the client desire. That means there's so many traders, some traders, you have traders that they have their own fashion to do things. You have traders that they have been teach something new. But also something that I noticed is that when you have been working overseas, you can see trades operate almost the same, but sometimes they have knowledge that is different. How they do things sometimes are more efficient than others. That means...
What's an example of that? Because I mean, that would be a bottomless bucket of examples. If you think of around the world, all the different trades, all the different way they build, if you think of how they build in Europe versus Australia versus Asia versus Middle East versus... What's one example that comes to mind when you think of a trade and same trade here, but it does it differently here compared to how it's done in Italy or how it's done in Mexico? Or
I think so. For example, something that I have been noticed is paint. Like there's different techniques of paints, different techniques of things in Latin America and America. They do different ways. They the finish is different to Australia sometimes. The another thing is the tiling. You can see, for example, I have been European stylers that they just amazing. They just sit and actually work it out how it's going to be all the joints and all these things. They actually care about where they're going to cut the tile, because they know that it's a very important aesthetic. And another tilers, they just put it there and then you say, oh my God, everything aesthetic doesn't look good here.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just sometimes, I think so sometimes people are trained because they have that knowledge from their parents. There is just a generation of trades in the same, and other people just new in the trade, and they just teach how quick and easy to do it. I mean, it's just different ways, and then you have to know where the trades knowledge are. Like for example, another thing is when you do, one of the things that is very big is when you join tiles. Sometimes interiors or designers don't specify this mirror or it's gonna angle or things like that. They just do it. Like for example, in Latin America, they don't use aluminum angles. They cut every tile. That means when I was there, I was doing, hey, no, let's go to put aluminum. How that works?
Wow.
They didn't know that. Like in some level they know, but it's not across the board.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. Like in Australia, most of the people use aluminum angle or things like that to get the joint perfect, clean lines. Yeah. But in other countries, they don't do that. They just cut every single tile.
Wow.
And it's just the natural thing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. It's just the process every single trade. And you need to understand, or the builder and the designer need to understand how they're going to operate. That's when the problem is, when the builder or the project manager can say, oh, this paint job is shed, or this tile is shed. You have to rip it off all the tiles because they fall and all these things. Because sometimes they just do the job. They don't have any more thought. They just do that. Like my drafters. I can have a drafter that he just draw. He doesn't care that the walls, like when you go and check the model, you just say it's a disaster. And my senior designer say, oh, Cesar, this is a disaster. He doesn't know how to draw. And maybe he has been drawing for 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
Because they're not clean. They're not really clean when they do things. Same problems that you have, I think this is across the board. You can have any profession who people just do the job for doing the job. Yeah. And they actually people who take that extra mile to do it perfect or close to perfect, because nothing is perfect.
Yeah, that's true. And as things progress, then whatever was done in the past becomes less perfect because there's now an even better way, or something like that.
Yes.
What's something, the topic of interest rates, and that's a big thing we're hearing as well in the industry when it comes to the challenges that something gets designed and it's sitting in designs for a while, and then it gets to being quoted, and then it's too much, and then it doesn't go ahead. That's something I'm sure you've heard of happening.
Yes, I have. I think so. Maybe 50% of my clients, they have been spending time with another architects or designers, and they just blow their budget, and they come to me, and I have to redesign. I have to not redesign. I have to present a new design under their budget. But the same happened to me that I have this, I'm be honest, the same happened to me that I designed something when the client doesn't want to compromise. And you have to say, look, what you want is this amount. It's not going to be less. Yeah. And you have to be in front of your clients and tell them how it's going to be. There is going to be always flexibility to work it out. But yes, it's just a common thing that is very more and more that people go and sit with the designer, and the designer do what they want, and then they go, and sometimes between different estimations are gaps of 200, 100. I have a client who designed a house before COVID. Their budget was $2 million. Now she come back to me and she says, Cesar, I want you to design, because my reasons, I want you. I know her before, and I knew she already was designing. She said, I'm concerned because now I have someone who gave me $5 million for my budget. Someone gave me $7 million. Where is those $2 million? I said, because they never got involved in the design process. They just guessing. They just reading plans.
Who was giving her those figures?
Different builders.
Okay.
And I think so is because the builders there was builders are scared. I mean, construction is very tight. They don't want to go broke. They don't want to underprice any project. And because they haven't been involved in the process, they need to guess the information. Sometimes plans that they don't show everything. And then a lot of the thing is they don't know all the specifications. Because every single client always say, oh, I'm selecting cheap tile, cheap this, cheap, not too expensive, but they forget about the trade, the price of the trade. They forget about transportation. They forget that the builder take responsibility if something go broke, if something is not delivered on time, the delays and all these things. That means, and that's when I reinforce that it's really important to get the builder on board from day one, because they are going to guide the design. I mean, my responsibility is to get it right, but the builder responsibility is to get involved and say how we're going to work it out that. And together tell the client, look, you're realistic or you're not realistic. It is like that. But also another problem is because it's a competitive market in building, a lot of builders underprice things. Like they say, oh, we can do it for this price. And then others say, well, no, we can do it for that. That means I think so. When I have clients who say, oh, they can do it for 300,000 or 400,000 less. But I know they go and sign, but those 300,000 go back
back to probably 400, 500,000.
Yes, because you see, well, how they're going to do it. You know, I think so. It's both responsibilities, design and construction. Some people's underprice, and some designers over design, and they are both equally responsible. That means I think so. When you bring together, is when you say, well, this is cannot be underpriced and this cannot be over designed.
That's a great way to look at it. There's a lot of responsibility on you when it comes to helping them find a builder early on, one that you know is going to do right by the client.
Well, yes, most of the time are people usually, there is some people who get the design first because they want the vision. Because some builders say, well, I cannot price anything if I don't see the vision. But some people prefer go and select the builder first because they have the relationship with the builder. And the builder say, yes, I can do it for this amount or things like that. But even the builder, they say, oh, I can do it for that, then they go to the design and say, oh, it's just no, that cannot be possible.
Okay. Yeah, right.
You know, I cannot sit and say to someone, this builder is going to do it for X amount, or the builder cannot go and say completely, oh, yes, I can do it like that, because you already not working as a team. I'm not going to sit there and tell my client, I'm going to design this for this amount and all these things. When I don't know your builder, every single builder have different rates. They have different margins. They do different things. Some builders are more expensive than others because they have more overheads. That means I'm not going to take that responsibility. I'd rather to say, okay, let's go to pick a builder and let's go to work together. That means the builder doesn't waste the time pricing, and then the client say, no, I'm not going to do it with you. I'm going with someone else. And you do all this work, and the builder just lost because they work in cash flow. That means they need to put projects on the bin. That means they need to be sure that project is going to win, because sometimes they invest 3-4 months, even less or more, to get the client across the line. And I think that's really important when you have the team together. And that's one reason some builders approach me from day one, say, look, I sit with my client, they looking to do that, let's go to work together. And it's my responsibility to get great design, but already talking with the builder, how we're going to resolve everything, how from construction we're going to resolve everything to approach their budget, and how I'm going to make them fall in love with the design. That's a really, really crucial, important thing.
And those are a few moving parts there to get working together.
Correct.
Maybe a last point for the builders listening to this. What do you look for in a builder specifically if they were to reach out to you? Or let's imagine, builders listen to this, want to reach out to you and start building a relationship with you. Or they might reach out and maybe they, elsewhere, and they want to reach out to someone local, although you can design for someone anyway, really. What do you look for when in that approach?
I think that the most important thing is I need to look that I can work with them and that they can work with me. It's just a chemistry. You just have to sit with the builder. You have to see how they're going to do things, how we're going to work together. You put a plan together, and then you just jump into the job. Like, for example, I have a case that I did a first project with a local builder from Palm Beach. Never heard about him. He come, the client, and from day one, we sit together. And we just put everything on the table. I said, look, I'm going to help you with this. He's going to help me with that. We work together, and the whole project has been a success. Now he's full of jobs.
Wow.
And he said, my business to cover it. And he loved it. And even he had been loving work, not just with me, but with my team. The client is happy. The result is amazing. But it's just how we work together. He never put anything. He respect my area. I respect his area. When there was something on site, he called me. I went there immediately. We resolved together. Because if I go and say, oh, that builder is not doing that, that's wrong. You have to respect your builder. And some designers say, oh no, that's builder responsibility. I say, no, it's our responsibility. And I teach my team, I say, no, it's ours. We with the builder. And then the build, he can say, Cesar, I want to change that. What is your opinion? And I went, my opinion is that. I see the client say, look, we're going to do it that. And that is a really good communication and teamwork. And now even that he gets some jobs and we're building a relationship, and people now knows that when we work together, they're going to get a good success result, because they know that we're a team. They know that we can do and achieve, and our clients are priority one. That is really important.
With your experience and what you've seen, worked on, and now looking at the current, we've discussed a bit about what you're doing and working on, how you approach things now. When you look to the future, what are you predicting? What are some of your predictions for what's to come in a year's time, in 5 years' time, in the construction space?
Wow, that's a big question. Because, everything is changing. Density is increasing. There is more, as you know, national, everybody needs more residents and all these things. Look, my future is just creating new product, creating new things that is very innovative. I like to create innovation. That's what my forte is. But I don't know. I always get day by day, get the projects, design, put all my team and myself, put everything into construction and design. Just expect for new projects. Like right now, I have my personal challenge, and I take it. I want to do this, I want to do that, but I keep it to myself.
Okay.
And every time that I do it, I say, great, we did that. It's like I don't have like a specific niche or specific area. I like to go and touch different areas, see how it goes. Recently, I just finished like a $1 million studio production for a blogger.
Okay.
Who is they have a traffic of, I don't know, 20 million followers in food. And yes, and that's something that I said, wow, it's amazing. I just went and studied how they produce, how they do TV. Because when I say to her, well, this could be grow. With your followers, you possibly can have cameras running around, things like that. That means that's another thing. When you design, you have to design to grow.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Nothing gets stable. Even your house, your wife possibly change the furniture in 2 years later. Everything grow, everything change. And I said, well, in this that could be a grow. That could be things like that. And it was amazing. And it's different. The same when I did La Luna. La Luna Beach Club was, oh my God, something floating and something that can be expand or grow like that. Yes, I just like challenge. Like, I really don't know what is personal. Like, I think so I'm going to continue challenge myself and get approached for different projects and things like that. Be very versatile and diversity. But definitely Gold Coast seems like a new market for renovations. And there's so much to build.
In light of that, what opportunities are you seeing for builders out in the marketplace moving forward?
There is so much opportunities. I think so it's just about networking. And for builders, it's about people. Now people are very exposed to construction. There's so many construction shows. There is so many TV shows. There is competitions. There is everything. That means builders need to basically, people are approaching builders for execution, the detail. And that's when builders have to be very careful with trades they use, because a trade can destroy their reputation, and it's not the builder, but he's responsible that the performance is good. I think so. There is so much for renovation and construction in the market, but they really need to select their projects, because one project can be really wrong for them and one project can be very good. I think so. Opportunities there are, but I think so they need to get out of their comfort zone, because there is not so many easy blocks anymore. Even all the regulations in Gold Coast changing, like now with NDS changing. That means it's just to be aware of everything and aware of everything that is going on with the evolution of Gold Coast. Means all Gold Coast, for my understanding, always has been quiet. There was a very easy, and everybody saying never invest there and things like that. And now it's like a mind goal. Everything here, even Sunshine Coast, everything in the coast has been privileged after COVID. And opportunities there are. It's just how you build together your team, who you are in association. Because sometimes builders can pick the wrong designer, and they don't help them to cross the line. Or they have the wrong tradies.
That's probably one thing that stood out to me in today's conversation, is a builder looking for a designer, one to build a relationship with. That's a big one we've talked a lot about today. But to look at it as, no, I want to find a designer that's going to help me win this project. That would it just changes, in my mind, it steps up that level of teamwork, and just how they approach the relationship. So thank you very much for sharing that. That's
You're welcome.
My little gold nugget. There's a lot of nuggets in today's conversation, but that one specifically, I think, I'm going to be sharing that with a few guys. But Cesar, thank you very much for coming on and sharing about what Solis Estudio is doing, who you're helping, how you help them, and mostly for our audience, thank you for bringing your approach when it comes to that collaborative approach to working with designers, builders, clients, and trades.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank you for having me.